What was it like when you were obviously watching in like the 90s, the 80s and the 90s? Was it a good time to be a Luton fan?
It was just like incredible. I mean, I first started 81. That was literally went to game with friends from school. Saw the last game of the 80-81 season.
Quick one, are you from Luton?
No.
Where was you from?
Originally I'm from Yorkshire.
Oh, okay.
So the family moved down and then went to school sort of back in the Milton Keynes. And went to the last home game, 25th of April 1981.
Wow.
And then off the back of that one game, we all got season tickets.
just love it.
Motive.
Yeah.
And literally, it's a drug. And in 81-82, we got promoted to the old First Division. We beat everyone. I thought, oh, it's always going to be like this. We'll just go and tear Man United, Liverpool apart and dominate the world. That was my naive thoughts. And just what a great team, like Brian Steen, Ricky Hill. And then the mid-80s, Mick Harford joined. And 80s was just like an incredible time to be a Luton fan. We were like in the top league. And you talk about the Man City game, winning at Man City to stay up in 82-83, and that game shaped the next 10 years, because if we went back down, I don't think we'd have come straight back up. But on the back of that, those 10 years from 82-83 for the next 10 years into the 90s, obviously the Litwoods Cup final, we win that. I think we finished 7th, the highest, and what we achieved for the next 10 years was on the back of staying up. And I also think, bring that forward, like staying up in the Championship, Nathan Jones coming back, and if you think how we've progressed each season in the Championship and now in the Premier League, once again, would that have happened if we didn't stay up? So I see parallels from the 80s to now, and obviously there was the dark days with the 30 points and the non-league days, and like I remember
The gritty days.
Yeah, I mean, obviously Pele's now Pele's a legend. He's been here for like 10 years, but I remember being behind the goal at Dartford in the non-league days when he scored the screamer from 30 yards. And like now he's a Premier League player, and he's McNulty. Oh, and I wouldn't like to. Yeah, I mean, it's almost like, I mean, Gary Sweet says, like, clubs say, oh, we like to replicate what Luton have done. And it's like, you can never replicate what we've done because you've never been through what we've been through. You've not had 30 points deducted. You've not had 5 years in the non-league.
Yeah, Luton have been through the mud.
Yeah, they've been through the mud. They have. That's what
they're like a soldier that's just been through the mud.
Yeah.
What I do? Sorry to interrupt you. I do really want to touch on the 30-point deduction.
Yeah.
So I've not actually spoken to anyone really about it, and I did want. Obviously, we were way too young really to know what was going on then. What was it like from your experience? And like, why do you think the FA did do that? Like, why they done what they done?
They wanted to make an example. And if you look at teams now and they get dock points and they, like, for whatever reasons, go into administration, it was just the injustice that they wanted to make an example of a club. And yes, we had bad, sort of around that time, sort of owners that didn't have the club vested interest, but the penalty and the points deduction. I mean, when Mick that season, like, trying to keep us up when you're on minus 30,
It's impossible.
It was just so tough. I mean, like, all the stories of like the players and the contracts, and it was just like, I mean, it was a battle to save the club. We were fighting for our existence. It was just the core of the club, and you hear like the stories of having meetings in pubs and just trying to like keep the club in existence.
So was this off the back of the 2002 as well? Do they relate with each other when Gary Sweet and that got that guy like overthrown when they got him out?
Yeah.
Do them two correlate? Like, is it from that time?
I think like the 30-point deduction, and Mick came in and obviously he was manager, and it was just like mission impossible to stay up. But when Gary Sweet and the board came in and they formed the 2020, then, like I said, you hear about meetings in pubs, and basically he was just getting loads of good people around the club that had the investment,
Of the
that
club.
were truly invested
Yeah.
in getting the club back to where it needed to be, and obviously the journey that we've been on, and the main thing was like the loyalty of the fans that stayed with the club through that. It would have been so easy that basically like the fans were fighting for the existence of the club, just to try and just keep the club in existence, and that the fans would never going to accept anything else, that they were going to do what they could do to keep the club in existence, and like the loyalty that the fans showed has been sort of given back to the club, has been given back, just what the club have done to keep the club going. And yeah, it was just
It must be
worth
surreal
time.
for you, being there from the
It is,
80s
and
all the way up to now. That's like,
yeah.
it's mad.
I know,
It's a lot of years.
and
You're
I
a
also-
veteran.
I'm 56, so probably you're right. But no, I mean, you look at other clubs and you look at what's happened to the Berries of the world, and no true football fan takes any pleasure out of other clubs struggling like that, because it's their community, it's their club, and other clubs have been badly managed, and like there's so many stories where through bad management that clubs go out of existence, and they're just ingrained into the community. And so when I did my 116 challenge, you went round, and all the clubs that were so nice, they were clubs that were ingrained into the community. The Rochdales, the Stockports, the Grimsbys, and like what happened to Bury and other clubs. It's just a reminder that
There is good out there.
what happened to Luton could happen to anyone. I mean, no one's been the injustice of the 30 points. Nobody will have that injustice like we had it. And
That's a lot of points, man.
there are a lot of difficult decisions that the club had to make just to ensure that the existence of the club. I mean, it's a podcast on its own, just talking about some of the hardships and some of the things that the fans did just to keep the club afloat. And like fans at other clubs, they would do the same, because it's their community. I always say, like, the journey that I've been on personally, and Luton have been part of my life for 40 years, and I can relate to periods in my life where I just felt like the club was like my bond, and it was just the thing that kept me going. That was
Your little escape.
it was also my escapism.
Yeah.
That Luton has always been there for me. It's not just like the football. It sounds silly, but because football is the club, but it's not just the football, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it's more than just football. It's a
the whole
family. It's
community,
just your livelihood. It's
and
everything.
And I've gone through various, obviously knowing, like having different friends, and friends come and go through my love for football, and I've just got back in contact with a guy called Kevin. He's bought the book, but we had season tickets together in 81, 82, and now we're back. Now we're sort of back speaking and like in contact, and like we were like,
That's crazy, isn't it?
I know,
Wow.
and all the group of people that were around at the same time. It's
Yeah.
like, we've all changed and we've all been through life experiences, but the football club's been there, and that's why it's so important as part of the community what the club means to. It means different things for different people, but for me, it's that one game I went to at 25th of April 1981.
Change your...
And just having the bug, and like you get hooked, and then it's been part of my life, and I've sort of drifted away for periods, but as I go through different periods of my life, but it's always that bond that there's a bond
come
that
back to.
there's a bond that keeps me coming back.